part of the business world, but how does it affect us in our daily lives? Every day you see photos of your favorite celebrities sporting the popular clothing brands or a new weight loss product. And these photos are constantly circulating in our social media feeds, which causes us to subconsciously learn the names and faces of these brands. If you have social media of any kind, which 80% of Americans do, then you're subject to this form of marketing. After taking a 21st century marketing class, as well as performing further research, I can safely say that advertising is a lot more complex than it seems. Social media marketing is one of the most accessible forms of advertisement for big and small businesses alike, but it also causes a lot of controversy as far as how the bigger corporations get their consumer preferences. First, I will talk about social media marketing as a whole. Then I will discuss how it has changed over the years, and finally, I will touch on the problems that it may have caused. To begin, I would like to discuss the concept of promotional strategies through media. So advertisement has been around for decades, but as social media recently gained extreme popularity, the business was changed for good. Now companies are able to reach their audience in a whole new way. Think about the amount of time you spend on social media each day. For the average person, that's about 2 hours daily, but for a lot of us, it's more. So that's like plenty of time for all these companies to get their products and their ideas into your feed multiple times. You might not even notice how many advertisements and like sponsored posts you see every day because you're so used to seeing them. But that's pretty much how they get their product into your brain, because like you don't even notice that you're seeing these anymore, but you do see them, and that's how they market to you. So according to L. Megan Mahoney and Tang Tang in their book Strategic Social Media, which was published in 2016, the user-generated profile feature of social media is the closest connection many media producers will ever have to the individual personality of an audience member. So that means that it is easier now than ever before to market products to a target audience. Now that we've looked at how this kind of marketing works, we're going to move on to the main differences between old and new techniques. Larry Weber provides insight on this topic in his book Marketing to the Consumer Web, which was published in 2009. He talks about the differences in marketing mindset, brand equity, targeting, and communication. There's been a shift of importance from brand recall to brand value. So brand recall basically is advertising with the goal of getting you to think of a certain product in a certain category over another product. So let's take shoes, for example. You will probably think of Nike, Adidas, Converse, and Vans. So that's brand recall. So they're trying to get you to think of these brands over, say, like another, maybe like Tom's, like it's not your first thought. But now it's more about getting you to think of that brand like Nike specifically for athletes, because like that would be specific to like a certain person. So it's more about establishing a good name for the brand. So the goal is to get people to favor a certain brand over others. Marketing used to be a very one-sided conversation, but now it focuses more on building relationships and communication channels with customers. There also used to be a focus on grouping people by stereotypes, but now businesses try to use people's specific interests and behaviors to decide who to market to. Even with all that being said, there are still downsides. So moving on, I'm going to discuss the privacy issues of social media marketing. Recently, a lot of people have started noticing similarities between the things they search, look at, and like, and the things that pop up in their social media feed. A lot of people have even reported seeing an advertisement for something they were just talking about. So the idea that big companies have access to our search history and our social media statistics has been around for a long time, and the permission for that can usually be found somewhere deep in the terms and conditions that we all agreed to but didn't really read. So, but that doesn't explain why we see ads for things we only talk about. So this is where the concept of a serious privacy breach comes in. Short video. It works.
Which brings us to the next conspiracy theory, that various companies listen in on users through their microphone and collect data on their conversations to use for advertising. Now, I don't know if this is much of a theory anymore, since it has been demonstrated in many videos where someone will have a conversation about a specific item, and after mentioning it out loud a few times, will find advertisements for that specific item on Facebook, Google, or another app. Maybe you've even experienced it for yourself.
Sorry. Oh my god, sorry. Which one is it?
Scroll
Top right.
Top.
Top where?
Right.
right?
To minimize.
Oh, shoot, sorry.
There you go.
Sorry. Okay. Okay, so,
Oh, hi.
It was kind of loud a little bit. You
Oh.
could hear everything. It's like,
sorry.
Okay.
no, you're fine. It's just if you could lower it down. Not you, the video.
Yeah, okay. We will. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh.
Okay, don't worry about your
Okay.
time. We're good. Keep going.
Okay, so for pretty much every social media app, we are asked to give access to the microphone. So this leads a lot of people to believe that maybe these companies are listening through the microphones and using that data to decide who to market to and what to market to them. So Sandy Parakilis, the former Facebook operations manager, says he thinks this is actually highly unlikely because it would take like a huge amount of money to do that. But he also says that they know so much about you anyways that they can make guesses that are like uncannily accurate. But now that we've talked about the pros and cons of social media marketing, let's conclude. So first I talked about the advertisement business and how social media has affected it and the way that we see ads. And then I discussed these changes in the system and the differences between old and new marketing. And finally, I talked about how this might cause problems. So social media has affected the marketing business in like a pretty big way, and it's kind of broadened the horizons, but has also brought out issues that weren't there before. So next time you're scrolling through your social media feed, think about the people who might be keeping a close eye on your digital footprint.